Well, like you, I'm very happy that the election season is finally coming to an end with Election Day. I think all of us have seen our share of negative campaign ads. Oh, yes, there are a few positive ones in there, but we know how bad it has been. Unfortunately, the consultants tell us, I guess, that they think those work, and that's why we keep seeing them. I will say that pretty much every election I've ever covered, people say, this has got to be the worst I've ever seen it. And a lot of people have said that this year. It is also true, though, that when you're in the heat of it, it seems terrible. People do tend to make up a little bit after the election and try to work together. At least that's usually the case. And I will say, just from the Springfield perspective, if you go to the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum, there's a hall of cartoons over there that shows some of the horrible, horrible things that the artists of the day who are commenting on President Abraham Lincoln had to say about him, making him look really terrible and saying horrible things. So that's nothing new. This is obviously an interesting election because the intensity of those commercial spots we're seeing and the campaign itself in many other ways with social media as well as in recent years has really come on strong. Bruce Rauner has put so much money of his own into the campaign that it has really pushed up the price of everything. Clearly, the Democrats have had enough to get their message out with union support and others kicking into Democratic governor candidate Pat Quinn. But Bruce Rauner's campaign has spent something over $60 million, and the full campaign with both sides for governor is in the neighborhood of 100, with Rauner putting in something like 26 or 27, at least of his own so far. So that perhaps has upped the intensity that we have seen. I will say that a big question in the campaign and how it will turn out is the regions of the state, the traditional regions. Bill Brady, 4 years ago, the Republican candidate from Bloomington, taking on Pat Quinn, won pretty much almost all of downstate and in a pretty strong way. And Bruce Rauner is trying to do the same, but he is more socially moderate than was Bill Brady, so that might hurt him a bit. On the other hand, he's trying to make inroads in Chicago and the suburbs, and being a moderate Republican, being, for example, pro-choice, helped people like Jim Thompson and Jim Edgar get elected by giving them just enough of the vote in the Chicago area, which is strongly Democratic, to put a Republican over the top. Pat Quinn's base may also be a problem for him because while he may have traditional union backing, and the unions have come back to him because of some anti-union leadership rhetoric from Bruce Rauner in the primary, Pat Quinn also signed a pension plan that tried to roll back, and we'll see if the Supreme Court upholds this, some benefits for retirees, cutting back on their cost of living adjustments every year. And so you don't have as strong support from some union people as you might otherwise. There have also been, as his attempts, Governor Quinn's attempts to cut government spending, even though the Republicans complain that we spend too much all the time, there have been many downstate facilities closed. And certainly there are people who still have raw feelings about those closures, and they might aim those at Pat Quinn. So people on both sides say that the results that we will see at the end of balloting really depends on get out the vote, turnout, and how each side did. Democrats in Illinois are known to have a strong organization to do that, particularly in the Chicago area. Bruce Rauner has tried to fund a lot of Republican organizations and revitalize the Republican Party with some funding and some help for get out the vote, and we will soon know which side was more successful.